Get paid to exist, because you are awesome. Written and published by Audiobook. You might think people are paying you for your service, your coaching, your candles, your 12-week program, your photography, or your PDF guide, or that perfectly optimized offer you spent weeks scripting and packaging. But let's get radically honest here. They're not paying for any of that. They're paying for you. Yes, you. Your presence, your truth, your frequency, the way you speak, the energy behind your words, the way your soul moves in the world. This is the real offer. This is what pulls people in before they even read your sales page. You are the reason people click buy, because your presence transmits permission. Something in your energy, your unapologetic beingness, awakens something sleeping inside them. You aren't just selling a product, you're holding up a mirror that says, "This is what it looks like to be alive in your magic." And that, darling, is priceless. Chapter 1. You are the offer, not your product. We live in a world that praises productivity and perfection, but the currency that actually converts is presence. Think about it. Aren't the people you admire most the ones who are just so deeply themselves? They walk into a room and you feel something shift. You watch their Instagram story and feel more aligned. You hear them speak and suddenly you believe in yourself again. That's not strategy, that's soul. When you remember this, everything changes. You stop obsessing over tweaking your landing page font and start asking, am I glowing or hiding today? You stop measuring your value by your output and start owning the fact that your energy is the real invitation. You stop cramming yourself into masterclasses and marketing formulas and start expanding into your own expression. The offer is you. Period. But here's the truth most people won't tell you. When you start radiating like that, fully you, unfiltered, it can feel terrifying because it costs you your camouflage. It strips the safety of performing. It pulls the curtain back on all the personas you built to survive. But the moment you start anchoring into your real power, the kind that doesn't need approval to exist, life starts paying you back with interest. When you show up with your frequency first, the right people recognize it immediately. They don't need convincing. They feel you. That energy creates instant resonance, and resonance gets results. The ones who are meant to roll with you, they're not waiting on a 12-step offer stack. They're waiting for your truth. Say it louder, say it wilder, say it in your way. Because when you lead with energy over effort, wholeness over hustle, truth over template, you activate wealth through embodiment. You're no longer selling, you're radiating. You're not marketing, you're magnetizing. This is a portal back to remembering this. You don't have to earn visibility. You are already worthy of being seen. You don't have to justify your prices. You are already worth your weight in gold. You don't have to be louder to get paid. You only have to be more you. Here's the real flex. What if you trusted that being yourself was the exact strategy you've been searching for? What if your vibe was your value? What if your full, unleashed expression was the most profitable move you could make? Every time you dilute your essence to seem more palatable, you lower your energetic income ceiling. Every time you apologize for your bigness, you signal to the universe that you're not ready for overflow. But the moment you decide, not wish, but decide, I am the offer, you command a different level of respect, alignment, and compensation. So ask yourself this right now. If I believed I was the offer, how would I show up today? Would you speak differently? Post that thought even if it wasn't polished. Raise your rates. Walk away from the project that no longer reflects who you are, because your energy is too valuable to be on discount. This isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about finally allowing the someone you are to lead. In a world obsessed with what you do, dare to be the one who gets paid for who they are. Be the brand. Be the essence. Be the reason. Because the thing people keep buying is your energy. You are the offer. And that, gorgeous soul, is more than enough. Chapter 2. Your existence has financial value. You weren't born to earn your keep. You were born as the keep, the treasure, the miracle, the $1 million frequency, just by breathing. Somewhere along the line, someone convinced you that your value was tied to your output, that money only follows sacrifice, that if you weren't burning out, you weren't worthy of receiving. But let's return to truth, shall we? Before you ever learned how to do, you were. That existence, the quiet power of simply being alive, carried infinite value. You didn't need a business card, a resume, or a certificate hanging on your wall. Your energy arrived first. Your worth didn't need a wage to validate it. But in this world, we're programmed otherwise. From early on, we internalized the belief that we must work for our worth, be good to get love, achieve to be celebrated, hustle to be seen. We start to see rest as laziness, ease as irresponsibility, and joy as earned. And in that system, existing, merely existing, becomes invisible, even shameful. But make no mistake, the most magnetic, prosperous, successful people don't do more. They own who they are more fully. They get paid not for packing in more on their to-do list, but for confidently sitting in the radical truth that their presence creates shifts, money, rooms, results. Your existence has financial value because energy precedes action. Your being calibrates the world around you. Have you ever noticed how just being around someone lights up your entire nervous system? How stepping into the room with a certain person expands what you believe is possible? That's not their resume talking. That's their resonance. That's worth. Felt. Alive. Present. You don't need to do something to be worthy of overflow. You are the overflow. You just forgot that your breath already makes money move, that your groundedness is a service, that your joy is a currency, that aligned stillness is louder than 1,000 strategies shouted into the void. This is your permission slip to untether your bank account from your busyness. Breathe. Being yourself in a world that profits off your shame is not laziness. It's rebellion. Deep, sacred rebellion. And it's lucrative too. There is no download, launch, or masterclass that replaces the power of you choosing to believe. My presence is the profit. When you're anchored in your being, the right rooms will open, the aligned clients will lean in, the unexpected income will land in your lap, not from force, but frequency. This doesn't mean action disappears. It means your action is no longer driven by fear. It's not survival mode movement. It's overflow momentum. There's a difference between running to stay afloat and walking in because you know you already belong. Your authenticity is income generating. Your truth is transaction worthy. Your laugh, your art, your stillness, your boundaries, all of it is valuable beyond measure. You don't sell products, you sell access to your energy. You don't build worth through work. You express it through your willingness to exist, vibrantly, fully, unapologetically. What would happen if you stopped trying to earn and started allowing yourself to receive as a byproduct of being? What if you trusted that every breath you take, in alignment, whispers to the universe, I am worthy, and the universe responds in kind, not out of pity, but recognition? Because there's nothing to prove, there's only everything to remember. And what you're remembering is sacred. The kindness in your eyes is priceless. Your intuition is high-yielding. Your joyfulness is a return on investment. Every cell of you radiates something that no one else on the planet can replicate. And value, true value, it doesn't start in your output, it begins in your essence. So here's your activation. Exist louder. Let your presence speak for you. Let your everyday being be enough. Watch how the universe moves to support it. Watch how wealth wraps around you like a second skin. Watch how support floods in when you stop performing and start simply existing in your full power. You don't have to do more. You just have to be fully. That's the frequency of wealth. That's the truth. And that's what you came here to remember. Chapter 3. You don't need to prove to get paid. You have nothing to prove, not to the algorithm, not to your parents, not to your past, not to anyone who ghosted you, doubted you, or made you believe you had to be 10 times better just to be considered enough. You are already qualified, not because you did the most, showed up exhausted, or built an empire with blood in your coffee cup. You are qualified because you exist, and that is your divine permission slip to receive. Somewhere along the way, we internalized a dangerous lie, that proving equals payment, that the more we perform, the more we produce, the more we please, the more likely it is that the world will reward us. But that belief is bankrupt. It only keeps us locked in labor, jumping through invisible hoops, saying yes when we mean maybe, defaulting into hyper-productivity and calling it ambition. That's not success, that's survival. The truth is, worthiness is not earned. It never was. You don't need another certificate, another hour 93-step launch plan, another 100 Instagram reels just to stay relevant. You don't need to explain why you deserve to be here. You are here. That's reason enough. And that's radical in a world that constantly tells you to justify your spot at the table. You are not here to fit in. You're here to be felt. Stop equating exhaustion with excellence, busyness with credibility. Overproving is not proof of value. It's evidence of fear. When you get honest, how often do you find yourself doing more, not because it actually feels aligned, but because deep down, you're afraid you're still not enough without it? What would happen if you let go of the gold star energy? If you dropped the need to be the best and just showed up as the truest? Money doesn't come from performing harder. It flows to presence, confidence drips, ease attracts. You don't manifest abundance from convincing the world of your worth. You magnetize it the moment you believe in it yourself. Yes, sometimes your healing will look like doing less, posting less, defending less. Sometimes your highest expression is quiet, soft, fully rooted in unapologetic ownership of who you are. You don't need to perform when you know you belong. You don't need to chase when you know you're the catch. You don't need to earn being seen. You already are, if you'll allow it. So, here's your new mantra. I don't chase, I choose. Let it sink deep. Let those words rearrange your energetic DNA. No more chasing validation in follow accounts, testimonials, or inbox pings. No more shrinking yourself to be more palatable, or hyperextending yourself, so no one can question your value. You weren't born to prove, you were born to pulse. Your energy does the explaining, so you don't have to. The most magnetic people aren't necessarily the loudest, smartest, or hardest working. They are the ones who have decided deeply, irreversibly, that they are worthy right now, without the tweak, without the transformation, without explaining their existence. And that clarity, that inner conviction, it's unforgettable, it's irresistible, it's the vibe that gets paid without begging. So ask yourself, are you still auditioning for a life that is already yours? Are you showing up in your business or your work like you need to get picked? Or are you walking in the room like you've already been chosen? Because you have. You didn't come here to play the part someone else wrote for you. You came here to author a life that mirrors your essence. No more hiding behind hustle. No more apologies in your price tag. No more subtle explanations for why you're charging what you're charging. If your energy, your voice, your unique frequency helps even one soul feel more seen, it's priceless. You don't need to prove that impact. From today forward, you get to let it be easy. Not because you're lazy, but because your energy is aligned. Because your value doesn't require justification. Because your presence, as is a transmission. Release the need to perform. Let go of the invisible courtroom in your mind where you keep defending your worth. Step out of the role of persuader. Step into the role of chooser. You don't need to convince anyone to pay you when you've already decided you're worth it. The energy of that decision changes everything, from how people treat you to how money flows toward you. You don't need to prove to get paid. You just need to remember who you were before the world convinced you that you had to try so hard. Let that version of you lead. She's done performing and ready to receive. Chapter 4. Magnetism over marketing. They told you to master content calendars, to hack algorithms, to be louder, post more, fight for attention like your life depended on it. They told you to build the funnel, send the emails, tweak the tagline one more time. But no one told you the truth, the quiet, radiant, electric truth. You could stop marketing and start magnetizing. Because the real game isn't about forcing people to see you. It's about becoming so energetically clear, so unapologetically aligned, so turned on by your own presence that they can't look away. The old paradigm teaches you to sell with logic. The new paradigm lets you lead with frequency. And frequency doesn't beg. It buzzes. It beams. It beckons what already belongs to you. Marketing tries to convince. Magnetism compels. One screams, "Please pick me." The other quietly whispers, "You already know I'm the one." You've felt this before. That moment when someone walks into a room and you don't know why, but your whole nervous system orients toward them. Your glance lingers. Your curiosity rises. You can feel their presence before they even speak. That's magnetism. It doesn't need a formula. It needs a frequency. And you, my love, are already electromagnetic. You've just been taught to dim it, to be digestible. Most marketing strategies try to box you into someone else's formula, strip you of your essence, until you're palatable enough to convert. But nothing converts more than authenticity. When your inner world is on fire with truth, your outer world rearranges itself to pay you.
That's the shift.
When you trade manipulation for magnetism, your work becomes an invitation. You stop trying to lure people in with scarcity, urgency, and emotional blackmail, and instead, you embody such deep alignment that people feel safe in your energy. They trust because they recognize the truth in your tone. They sign up because something in them remembers something in you. We are remembrance workers, not attention seekers. You don't need to go viral to get paid. You just need to go visible as your real self, not the version you think people are looking for, not the polished persona that hits every bullet point on the sales page. Your energy is worth more than any evergreen webinar.
You already have what the market can't sell.
You are your resonance, and resonance travels faster than reach. When you clear the clutter of doubt, shoulds, and strategy addiction, your true frequency starts to pulse again. And that frequency, that's what lands clients, fills programs, moves money. Not the template, not the CTA. Your clean inner signal is your most irresistible magnet. So the question becomes, do you trust it enough to be seen? Magnetism is not a doing, it's a being. It's honest alignment made visible. It's energetic congruence between what you say and who you are. In a world flooded with noise, realness shines like gold. While others scramble, you root. While others chase, you calibrate. You want to attract more, get more clear, get more you. That clarity starts inside. You can't fake frequency. You can't mask misalignment. The world feels you, long before it reads your captions. The most powerful marketing plan you'll ever have is your own embodiment. Showing up like the person who already believes it's done. The one who knows they are the portal through which miracles move. Want more comments, clients, contracts? Make your presence your product. Make your alignment non-negotiable. Make your pleasure the strategy. The most magnetic people aren't the busiest. They're the most grounded, the most certain, the most energetically unshakable. Not because they have all the answers, but because they've stopped abandoning themselves for approval. You don't need another piece of content. You need more of your contentment. That's the irony. When you no longer need the audience to prove your worth, they feel you more. When you detach from needing to convince, your potency increases. When you stop chasing virality, your visibility stabilizes. There is no algorithm more powerful than your confidence. So let yourself be fully seen in your softness, in your strength, in your sacred too-muchness. Show up like the energy that already has it, and watch reality rearrange itself to meet you there. You don't need to market what's magnetic. You're not here to convince anyone you're valuable. You're here to remember you already are, and let the abundance respond accordingly. Chapter 5. Get rich by being real. The richest version of you is the realest version of you. Not the version who's filtering her truth to be palatable. Not the version who performs perfection to be accepted. Not the version who contorts her soul into strategies that promise 6 figures but silence her spirit. The wealth lives in your raw, in your weird, in your wildly unedited edges. And the moment you stop hiding, censoring, or shrinking those parts of yourself, that's when life starts paying attention. That's when money starts moving magically. That's when your frequency becomes the offer. And abundance can't help but RSVP, yes. Money doesn't want your mask, it wants your magnitude. We've been tricked into believing that if we want success, we must become more professional, more respectable, more marketable. But that's a lie that's cost us more than we even realize, not just in dollars, but in dignity. Because here's the truth most people don't tell you. Authenticity prints faster than templates. Realness scales quicker than scripts. Transparency builds trust, and trust turns strangers into clients, fans, allies, investors. People pay for connection. They pay for congruence. And the moment you stop pretending, you start profiting. There is power in the parts of you you've been told are too much. That laugh, that sarcasm, that softness, that sass, That rage that bubbles under your smile. That story you've avoided telling because it feels too messy.
What if that mess is your message?
What if the parts you've polished away of fear of judgment are exactly the parts people are craving? What if your story, exactly as it is now, unedited, unperfect, still in process, became the most magnetic thing about you? You don't have to be at the top of the mountain to be valuable. You just have to be honest about where you are and who you are becoming. That's what inspires. That's what sells. That's what people remember.
People don't follow perfect. They follow real.
In every industry, in every niche, the ones standing out are the ones standing in their truth. The ones who ditched the scripts to speak from soul. The ones who cry on camera, who cuss while coaching, who bring sacredness into sales and healing into hustle.
You don't grow your income by being vanilla. You grow it by being vivid.
By being bold enough to say what others are afraid to. By owning your evolution in public. By letting your vulnerability be visible. That's currency and it circulates fast. Your uniqueness is not a liability. It's leverage. Your perspective is not a problem to fix. It's a permission slip for someone else to be braver with their own life. That weird thing about you, that unusual quirk, that wild opinion, that's your marketing plan. That's your $1 million magnet. Because when you decide to be the most you version of you, something shifts on a cellular level. Your voice gets louder, your offers get clearer, your content gets cleaner, your magnetism grows. Opportunities show up that don't need to be chased because they're already matched to your frequency. This is wealth with your soul intact.
This is integrity made income.
This is choosing to get rich by being real and watching the world respond with a standing ovation and open checkbooks. You can stop twisting yourself into someone else's version of worthy. Worthiness has no performance review. You being real is not risky. It's revolutionary. You already have everything you need to prosper once you stop pretending you have to be anyone else. So, here's your activation. Let your truth be what makes you paid. Let your awkward be what makes you admired. Let your story, no matter how imperfect, be what makes you unforgettable. Let people experience the fullness of you, not the filtered version, because authenticity is the new algorithm. And when you're brave enough to stop trying to be universally liked, you become deeply loved and highly paid. The fastest path to abundance isn't faking it. It's finally being you. Chapter 6. Stop performing. Start receiving. There comes a moment when you realize you've been auditioning for your own life. Overgiving, oversharing, over-efforting, hoping to be picked, seen, approved, paid. But what if you could put the mask down and still be chosen? Your power isn't in how perfectly you perform. It's in how fully you allow. The universe doesn't reward hustling for worth. It bows to vibrational permission. It responds to the self that is unapologetically open to receive, not because they proved themselves, but because they finally stopped trying to. You've likely been raised in a culture that conditioned you to believe you must earn what you receive, that money only flows to those who show enough sweat, that being good, helpful, likable, or endlessly compliant is the ticket to security. But here's the invitation. What if you flipped the script? What if your capacity to receive wasn't activated when you accomplished, but when you relaxed? Stop performing. Your worth is not a performance art. There is a difference between visibility and vulnerability. Performance seeks applause. Presence just is. And your presence? It is magic. Flames don't try to be fire, they just burn. You don't have to prove to be powerful. You don't have to pitch to be paid. You don't have to force to be favored. Receiving is a frequency, and you don't access it through strain. You access it through surrender, and that requires a deep nervous system shift. If your body has only ever felt safety through output, you'll unconsciously block everything that asks you to do less. Not because you don't want to receive, but because you don't feel safe while receiving. That's the root of it. Receiving requires expansion. It requires us to hold good, things without trading something in return, without tensing, without guilt, without bracing for the next disappointment. And that's uncomfortable at first, because that quiet moment when someone chooses to pay you and you didn't send 40 emails, when a client messages to say, I saw your energy and I knew I had to work with you, and you weren't even launching, That's when the old self gets nervous, thinking, did I do enough to deserve this? And the answer, beloved, is yes. You did because you existed. You weren't born to be a machine. You weren't born to be someone's Pinterest perfect personal brand. You weren't born to become a self-curated marketing robot. You were born to be art, energetic art, living, breathing proof that authenticity is prosperity. There's no award for out-hustling your heart. Money doesn't care if you posted twice a day and wrote emails on Sunday night. What it cares about, what it responds to, is how much open space you're holding inside you. The universe skips no steps. It flows into the channel with the least resistance. When your field is relaxed, receptive, and rooted in self-love, that's when everything finds you. Money, clients, blessings, synchronicities. You begin to live as a magnet, not a megaphone. Let receiving become your new ritual. Start small. Sip your morning coffee like it's an act of wealth. Breathe in compliments without deflecting them. Let help arrive without saying, no, I got it. Allow things to be easier than your ego thinks they should be. Let it feel luxurious. Let it feel wrong at first, because that's just your old self dissolving, the one addicted to approval through effort. Your daily work now is not to build another business plan. It's to build capacity, to hold more joy, more softness, more flow. Because the work is no longer about crushing strategies. It's about unclenching the blockade you placed between you and ease. That's how you receive without performing. You return to being. Pure, potent, unfiltered you. The you who chooses softness over sacrifice. The you who doesn't audition for abundance, but expects it. The you who isn't surprised when miracles appear, because you finally believe you are a space where miracles belong. You don't need to do more. You just need to believe you're worthy of receiving what you've already asked for. Let that land. This is the chapter where you retire your inner performer. Give them a bow, a thank you, and a graceful exit. Because something far more powerful is rising in their place. The receiver, the attractor, the embodied frequency of already enough. No stage, no spotlight. Just you and the abundance that always knew where to find you the moment you stopped hiding behind effort. Chapter 7. Your energy is your invoice. You don't get paid for what you do. You get paid for the energy you bring to what you do. Let that sink in. Because once you really feel that truth, everything changes. The spreadsheet, the sales page, the strategy, they matter, sure, but they are secondary. They're delivery trucks. Your energy is the product. You are constantly invoicing the universe through your energy. Every time you post, show up, speak, share, or sit silently in your own presence, you're sending a message that says, this is what I'm available for. It's not what you ask for with your words that sets the pricing on your life. Negative. It's what you radiate with your presence. Alignment pays better than effort ever could. Look, you might have the most polished offer on the planet, but if you're hustling it from a place of depletion, doubt, or desperation, people feel that. Energy is instantly readable. You cannot pretend your way into abundance. The frequency underneath speaks louder than any marketing trick ever could. So when the results aren't coming, the clients aren't signing, the payments aren't pinging through, it's not always a doing problem. It might just be an energy leak. How do you treat your energy? Do you manage it like it's your most precious asset? Or do you treat it like a bottomless resource for others to consume? If your energy is your invoice, would you pay you what you're asking for based on how you're feeling today? Real talk. Because vibrationally, misaligned energy is the equivalent of sending an invoice to the universe for minimum wage, even when your soul knows you're worthy of millions. When you overgive, overprove, or overpromise, you undercut your own currency. In the old world, burnout was worn like a badge of honor. In the new world, your world, burnout is no longer proof of ambition, it's evidence of distortion. We're not here to exhaust ourselves into worthiness. We're here to embody wealth at the level of vibration, not vengeance. You don't have to fight your way to getting paid. You get to regulate your nervous system, protect your peace, and let money flow in as your mirror. Read this with your soul open. How you feel matters more than what you do. When your nervous system is in safety, when your expression feels spacious, when your edges aren't constantly frayed by survival mode, You unlock a higher receiving frequency. Money comes not because you forced it, but because you stopped blocking it with depletion. This means wealth creation starts in the quiet spaces, in how you drink your coffee, how you sit with yourself in the morning, how you say no to what dreams you even if it pays well, how you say yes to what lights you up even if it's terrifying. Small decisions that calibrate your field moment by moment, creating an energetic invoice that reads, I am prosperous, I am powerful, I am ready. The people you admire who move effortlessly through life, the ones who seem to speak and money responds, they've simply learned to value their vibration enough to treat it as sacred. They don't sell from scarcity, they sell from serenity. They don't speak to please, they speak from pulse. They're not faking confidence, they're channeling congruence, and the world pays them accordingly. So ask yourself, what frequency am I broadcasting today? Does my energy say, I'm available for overflow, or does it whisper, I'll accept crumbs if I have to? You're not just manifesting with intention, you're manifesting with every breath, every posture, every boundary you hold or bend. You're always either anchoring in your worth or leaking it. This is your permission to stop co-signing chaos and start protecting your energetic capital. Treat your mood like you treat your money. Guard it, nurture it, invest in what amplifies it. Because if your energy is asking for abundance and your actions are aligned with exhaustion, you're sending mixed invoices into the universal inbox. Integrity isn't just moral, it's magnetic. So get clear, get clean, get unapologetic about how you feel and what you want. You don't have to always be in a high vibe space, but you do get to be intentional with how you hold yourself across the spectrum. Even your low moments are valid currency when met with compassion. You don't need to force positivity. You just need to stop abandoning your own frequency. You weren't made to burn out. You were made to light up. Let your energy be your invoice, bright, bold, beautifully balanced, and watch how life reroutes money into your path, not because you chased it, but because you became a match for it. Chapter 8. Abundance comes when you stop shrinking. Abundance doesn't have a volume setting, but you do. And the truth is, most of us have been turning ourselves down for years without even realizing it. We shrink to fit into rooms we've outgrown. We silence our brilliance to make others comfortable. We dim our dreams because someone somewhere once told us we were too much, too loud, too confident, too ambitious, too weird, too sensitive, too bold. But what if that too much was the exact frequency that abundance has been waiting to align with? The moment you stop squeezing yourself into the version of you that feels acceptable to others, you become energetically available to everything you've been asking for. Money, opportunities, aligned clients, breakthrough ideas, they don't land in suppressed space. They flow into your fullness. Because abundance doesn't find the smallest version of you, it finds the most alive version of you. Have you ever noticed how the people who seem to effortlessly attract wealth are also the ones who take up unapologetic space? Not just physically, but emotionally, vocally, energetically. They walk into a room and the air shifts not because they're trying, but because they're owning themselves so completely that the universe can't help but echo their boldness back in blessings. You weren't born to beg, you were born to blaze. Shrinking is a protective mechanism, a brilliant adaptation that helped you survive when expansion felt unsafe. Maybe someone taught you to downplay your magic, to avoid envy. Maybe you learned that being too visible led to rejection. So you trained yourself to be palatable, predictable, pleasant. But abundance isn't polite energy, it's potent energy, and it can't be found within the confines of your comfort zone. You don't attract overflow by becoming less. You receive more by becoming louder in your truth. You unlearn the lie that your bigness is a burden and start to embody the fact that it's your most sacred currency. The more space you give yourself to express, the more space the universe gives you to expand. Here's a reality shift. Your bigness is safe now. The version of you that once had to dim to stay protected, you don't need them to keep guarding the gate anymore. You have earned your fullness with your healing, your courage, your inner work. Now, it's about stepping into the body of that belief. Play with this power. What would it look like to take up full energetic space today? Not just physically, but in your voice, your visibility, your ideas, your identity. What would it sound like to speak your truth without editing it to make it sound less intense? What would it feel like to launch that offer, Post that message. Send that invoice from the place inside you that knows you're already worthy of overflowing compensation. Because the truth is, your capacity to receive has never been in question. What's been limited is your willingness to be seen in full bloom. It's not about becoming arrogant. It's about becoming undeniable. It's about no longer asking for permission to shine. When you stop shrinking, you stop blocking the very channels money needs to find you. Money moves toward clarity, toward certainty, toward open space. And when you start showing up like someone who's not afraid of their own power, the world responds accordingly. Abundance belongs to the bold, not because they're doing more, but because they're being more self-expressed, more honest, more radiant, more wildly themselves. And yes, when you start living like this, when you let your energy swell to match your soul, some people won't be able to handle it. Some will project their own unclaimed power onto you. Let them. That's not your work. Your only assignment is to stop playing small in a universe that's begging you to expand. You don't have to squeeze yourself into anyone's mold anymore. You were not meant to be manageable. You were meant to be magnetic. So stretch beyond the version of you that's comfortable. Breathe life back into the parts of you that dulled themselves down for safety. Let yourself be wild, too much, gloriously large in your intentions. Let yourself believe that your bigness is a blessing, because it is. The more fully you inhabit yourself, the more abundantly life will meet you. Stop shrinking. Start shining. There is no financial ceiling for someone who refuses to live below their soul's capacity. Chapter 9. You attract more when you need less. Neediness is a repellent, not just in relationships, but in money too. The moment you cling, chase, or try to squeeze abundance out of the world, it pulls away, not because you're undeserving, but because desperation sends the energy of lack ahead of your desire. The universe doesn't respond to your words, your spreadsheets, or even your plans. It responds to your frequency. And if that frequency is "I need this to be okay," then life gently whispers, "You're not ready to receive." But here's the quiet, radical truth. When you stop needing, you start attracting. There's a holy kind of power in becoming energetically independent from the outcome. You can want something. You can deeply desire it. You can even prepare your whole heart for it. But when you begin to require it to feel whole, useful, or safe, you cut off your own magic. Needing something too much is like gripping a seed and yelling at it to grow. Your job isn't to force the bloom. Your job is to embody the soil, rich, ready, already enough. Can you exist in the energy of, "It would be amazing if it came, but I'll be radiant either way"? That's when money finds you in the most unexpected ways. The client who DMs you out of the blue, the affiliate check that hits your account months after you forgot the link, the booking you didn't pitch. These moments don't happen because you did more. They happen because you became more spacious, more trusting, more magnetic. In detachment, you gain the most delicious form of power, the kind that lets your desires come to you on their terms, not on your timeline, not through your control, but in their own divine unfoldment. Let's be real. Most of us were taught that needing equals worthy. If you don't need it badly enough, you must not deserve it. If you're not sacrificing your sleep, your spirit, or your sanity, are you even trying? Lies, outdated programming. Wealth doesn't respond to the one who hustles hardest. It flows to the one who receives without gripping. It rewards certainty, not scarcity. So what would it look like if you let go? To not need the launch to hit 5 figures to feel like a success. To not check your Stripe alert 10 times a day. To not refresh your inbox, wondering where the miracles are. Instead, you show up. You serve. You stay open. But you root into overflow before the outcome even lands. That's the cheat code. Inner abundance creates outer wealth. When you stop walking into the room energetically in debt, begging money to complete you, life starts responding differently. Because people don't pay people who feel empty. They pay radiant, self-resourced humans whose energy whispers, "I'm already full, come play if you want." It's a paradox, I know. The less you need something, the more you can have it. It's how love works. It's how money works. Need chokes the flow. Trust opens it. So taste the freedom of wanting without needing. Ground yourself into the belief that you, exactly as you are already enough. That's not indifference. That's divine detachment. That's confident surrender. and it's sexy as hell to the universe. The less you require the world to prove your worth, the more it reflects it back to you. When you begin to live from that place where your joy, your peace, and your inner fullness aren't on layaway, you're untouchable. You're magnetic, because your energy isn't saying, "Please save me." It's saying, "I'm already lit. Come join the party if you're aligned." And that kind of power, it's irresistible. Money isn't freedom, you are. Money isn't security, you are. Money isn't validation, you are. Release the grip, soften your wants, anchor into your own radiance. When you need less, you have more. When you release the pressure, you become a portal. When your happiness isn't on pause for something to arrive, paradox becomes your path. You get the thing precisely because you stopped begging for it. You're not meant to chase. You're here to call it in. And you will, the moment you fall more in love with your frequency than your fantasy. Let that be your revolution.
Chapter 10. The world pays people who know their worth.
There's a moment, subtle but seismic, when the world begins to reflect your value back to you. Not because you worked harder, not because your resume upgraded, not because your launch strategy finally aligned with moon cycles and analytics. No. It happens the moment you decide, "I am done negotiating with my worth." That's the moment your frequency changes. It's not loud or performative. It's an inner decision that echoes into everything. Your prices shift, not because you added 5 bonuses, but because you remembered how much power already lives in your presence. Your tone changes, not to be persuasive, but because your certainty starts speaking louder than any sales pitch ever could. Your whole energetic signature upgrades, and money can't help but mirror that. The world doesn't pay people who hustle. It pays people who hold their value, their standards, their enoughness, their no when it would be easier to make it a yes. And that kind of embodiment, that level of self-honoring, that's what money worships. Not out of vanity, out of vibrational law. Money is neutral. It doesn't chase the best, it follows the most certain. If you're still trying to get paid by being pleasing, you'll wake up depleted and undercompensated. You'll contort yourself into a shape-shifting persona just to get picked, liked, hired. But here's the thing. Chasing approval starves your wallet. Confidence feeds it. You grew up in a system that taught you to be grateful just to be in the room, to wait your turn, to lower your voice, to put your desires in a resume format, listing out your qualifications and hoping they'd be enough. But you were never meant to be contained by someone else's checklist of legitimacy. You are more than a good candidate. You're an undeniable force. Think about all the micro moments you've downplayed yourself. The times you edited that email to sound polite, even though your soul wanted to roar. The times you offered a discount before they even asked, just to make it easier. The times your rate shrunk because you didn't want to seem like too much. All those moments write the story your energy carries. Are you hoping to be worthy, or have you already decided that you are? It's wild how everything changes the second you do. When you walk into a room like you're already chosen, people feel that. When you speak your rate without flinching, clients lean in. When your very presence whispers, "I know what I bring," the universe moves like, "Here, take more." Because you're no longer asking for permission, you're declaring your position. You don't get paid based on what you're worth. You get paid based on what you believe you're worth. That belief is the currency. That inner stability is wealth in motion. No one is going to come tap you on the shoulder and say, "Hey, I think you should raise your rate," or "I feel like you're not charging what you deserve." That moment doesn't arrive unless you create it. You are your own permission slip. You are your own price increase. You are your own evidence. And when you raise your worth standard, your life standard follows. You stop tolerating the non-reciprocal dynamics. You stop accepting clients who drain your joy. You stop feeling guilty for wanting luxury, ease, and overflow. You no longer feel bad about breaking up with struggle. Your nervous system begins to regulate at higher levels of abundance because you decided you're no longer available for anything less. You become undeniable, not by force, but by frequency. Let that land. You don't have to scream your value, just stand in it. Most people never get rich because they're still apologizing for taking up space. They're still diluting themselves to be digestible. But money? It doesn't want your palatability. It wants your potency. Your all-in, loud and gloria, take me or leave me energy. Your self-worth is your price tag, not the one you wear, the one the world reads on your aura. And when you start showing up, like your worth is unquestionable, like goodness flows from you, just by being you, stop gripping, you stop negotiating with people, timelines, and outcomes. You start living like you're already funded by something bigger. That shift, it's electric, it's profitable, it's done. So ask yourself, right now, what would a person who knew their worth do next? Now do that. And trust, the world will catch up. Chapter 11. Being you is the shortcut. You've been conditioned to believe that success requires a long climb, that money only rewards those who sweat, strive, and sacrifice, that the shortcut is cheating, or worse, impossible. But here's the truth no one teaches you. The ultimate shortcut is permission to be fully, unapologetically you. Being you is not the slow route. It's the frequency upgrade that bypasses struggle entirely. Because when you stop contorting yourself to fit what you think the world wants and start radiating like you were always meant to, everything you've been chasing starts showing up on its own. Alignment is the fastest path to overflow. And luckily, alignment isn't something you have to earn. It's something you melt into by returning home to yourself. You don't have to become more, just more you. Not louder in a forced way, but louder in frequency, clearer, stabilized in self. When your energy says, "This is me, and I love it here," the universe echoes it back with blessings and bank deposits. We've been fooled into believing that authenticity is unmarketable, or worse, unprofitable. That the more polished, packaged, predictable version of ourselves deserves the spotlight. But polish might impress eyeballs, while truth imprints hearts. And hearts, they buy. They invest. They return again and again, not because of your pitch, but because of your presence. No one else has your essence. That is your ultimate leverage, and also your infinite resource. There is money bound up in the parts of you you've been hiding. Don't underestimate the currency of your quirks, the magnetism of your stories, or the ROI of your realness. You've just forgotten how profitable your presence actually is, because you've been too busy performing productivity instead of channeling presence. Here's the cosmic cheat code. When you're being authentic, you collapse timelines. You skip all the unnecessary effort. You attract the right opportunities, the aligned clients, the next level of wealth. Not because you optimized every step, but because you stopped stepping outside yourself. The vibe of "this is who I truly am, take it or take it higher" is irresistible. It repels the wrong people and seduces the right ones without you even lifting a finger. Call it ease, call it grace, call it energetic efficiency, but don't you dare call it lazy. Being fully expressed takes more courage than any hustle ever did. Let this land. The more real you are, the faster the right doors open. There are gifts inside you that will never activate while you're pretending. There are income streams waiting on the other side of your truth. Not when you hit a certain milestone. Not when your follower count increases. Now, in this moment, in this breath. The next level isn't something you're becoming. It's something you already are, once you let your mask drop. Forget the algorithm. You are the algorithm. Your energy writes its own rules. You're not here to play the game better. You're here to change it. To remind the world what real resonance sounds like. When you trust your own frequency more than formulas, you stop chasing trends and start channeling truth. And truth? It's always on time. It never ages. It never runs out. Being you isn't just the shortcut. It's the whole map. It's the marketing strategy, the monetization plan, the energetic yes from the universe. You were never meant to contort, compromise, or conform. You were meant to be known, felt, and paid for your presence alone. Take a moment to breathe that in. Really breathe. Because this is your permission slip to stop waiting. Stop editing. Stop auditioning for rooms you were born to own. The moment you drop the performance, you pick up the power. You don't need a 5-step process. You don't need a bigger platform. You just need to stand in your power and say, left double quotation mark, and this is enough. Right double quotation mark. Show the world what happens when a person refuses to hide. Show the universe what alignment looks like in human form. That is how you get paid. Not later, not someday, but right now, for existing as the most you version of you. That, my love, is the fastest way home to everything you've ever wanted. Be you, louder. It's not the long road, it's the shortcut. Chapter 12. You get paid because you exist, and that's enough. There is a moment most of us don't talk about. The moment when you sit in silence after trying everything, the funnels, the strategies, the 7-step formulas, and still you're met with a quiet that sounds like failure. But it's not. It's your soul handing you the most sacred truth.
You were never meant to earn your worth. You already are it.
Let that sink in.
You get paid because you exist, not because of your credentials, not because of how perfect your branding is, not because you cross all your T's and slay your content plan like a machine in a blazer. You get paid because your very presence moves energy, creates resonance, and shifts entire frequencies. You are the portal. You are the power source. You, fully and unapologetically you, are inherently valuable, and that value magnetizes money. We've been conditioned to believe that effort is the holy currency, that only through tireless productivity can we deserve abundance. That belief system is expired. It doesn't honor your divinity. It doesn't honor your essence. It convinces you to put your power in things outside of you, when all along the true wealth was coded in your existence. The day you stop begging for validation is the day the universe starts writing you checks in bold, fluorescent ink. You are allowed to receive simply because you're here breathing, loving, offering your energy, showing up in your uniquely magic way. You are allowed to be wildly supported, unfathomably provided for, and financially drenched without jumping through hoops made by outdated power structures. Who decided that money had to be earned with sweat instead of soul?
You didn't come here to survive. You came to radiate.
And when you radiate from a place of wholeness, from the knowing that nothing about you needs to be fixed, upgraded, or proven, that's when money starts chasing you. Not because you've done more, but because you've become more present. You've remembered that your beingness is the blessing, and everything else is just a mirror reflecting it back. Here's what rich really means: returning inward to conscious harmony. When you're in harmony with your truth, your enoughness becomes electric. That electricity is what people want to hire, follow, buy from, and invest in. Clarity is currency. When you emit clarity about your worth, your services, your art, yourself, opportunities, clients, and golden doors start popping open like popcorn. Not by pressure, but by presence. This is the new paradigm of wealth. Alignment over achievement, frequency over formulas, soul over systems.
You get paid in direct proportion to how unapologetically you're owning who you are.
Every time you choose to show up as you, without diluting, distorting, or dimming, you open the channels for money to find you. Not because you performed for it, but because you became undeniable. This book isn't a business manual. It's a mirror. And what it reflects back is this: you are the miracle. You always were. You don't have to be louder to be heard. You just have to be truer. You don't have to fight to be seen. Just stop hiding. You don't have to hustle to get paid. You just need to be wildly, fully alive in your own energy and trust that the world compensates clarity like nothing else. Your very presence is profit. Your essence is the brand. Your energy is already a masterpiece. And your existence, it's the reason abundance wants to dance all over your timeline. So stop negotiating with your worth.
Stop asking if you've done enough.
And start knowing at a cellular, soul-deep level that because you exist, you're already worthy of more than enough.
There's nothing else to prove. Your being is the receipt, and your receiving starts now.